Okay, so sometimes you hear these like really big numbers and you're just kind of like, yeah, yeah, whatever. But like this time we're talking about March Madness, right?
Yeah.
And you hear that it could generate over $1 billion and you think, wait a minute, hold on a second.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
$1 billion. Like
Yeah.
really, that's incredible. And so that's what we're looking at today. March Madness 2025. It's going to be huge from what we're
Yes,
hearing.
absolutely.
And I, I think for everyone listening, everyone knows what March Madness is, but just so we're all on the same page, can you just give us like a quick, March Madness 101?
Sure, yeah. So March Madness is the NCAA division, a men's basketball tournament. So we're talking college basketball. And it happens every year. It's a single elimination tournament, and it starts with 68 teams.
Wow, 16?
68 teams, and they play these games all across the country. It's really exciting. And it all culminates in the Final Four, which is like this huge event. And it's been going on for a really long time.
Yeah, it's like a tradition. Every year it's like so exciting and everyone gets really into it.
Yeah, it's basically become this like cultural phenomenon in the US. Like everyone's filling out their brackets and watching the games.
Brackets, oh, don't even get me started in the brackets. I'm terrible at them. But that's like a whole other thing, right? But okay, so we're talking about the economics of it. So where does all that money come from?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously people buy tickets to the games.
Right. Yeah, ticket sales are a big part of it, especially for those later round games. When you get to those Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games, tickets are going for a lot of money. And then the Final Four, those tickets are like gold.
Oh, yeah, super expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the NCAA makes a lot of money from that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, you have all the advertising that goes on during the tournament. Like, think about all those commercials you see during the games. Companies are shelling out huge amounts of money to get their ads in front of all those viewers.
Yeah, it's true. You can't watch a game without seeing like a million commercials, and I'm guessing the sponsorships too, right?
Yeah.
Like all those brands you see plastered everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, sponsorships are massive for March Madness. Like
Yeah.
you have companies like Nike and Coca-Cola and AT&T. They're all paying big bucks to be associated with the tournament, and you see their logos on everything from the court to the uniforms to banners in the arenas.
Right? It's like a marketing blitz for these companies.
It really is, and it's all because March Madness has this huge audience and everyone's paying attention.
So it's not just about the games themselves. It's like this whole economic ecosystem that's built up around it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the NCAA getting money from ticket sales, advertising, and sponsorships. But what about the cities that actually host the games? Do they make money too?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like when a city hosts March Madness games, they see a huge influx of visitors, like fans and teams and media. All these people need places to stay and eat and things to do, so they're spending money at hotels and restaurants and bars.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like a boost to the local economy.
Exactly. And it can be a really significant boost. Like some cities have reported hundreds of millions of dollars in economic activity
Sure.
from hosting March Madness games.
Wow, that's impressive. And do these cities have to like apply to host the games, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's a whole bidding process where cities have to submit proposals to the NCAA, and they have to show that they have the facilities and the infrastructure to host the games, and often they'll offer financial incentives to try to sweeten the deal.
So it's like a competition between cities.
Oh, yeah, it's very competitive.
Right.
Cities really want to host these games because of the potential economic benefits.
Right. It's like a big investment for them.
Exactly. And it's not just about the immediate economic impact either. Like hosting March Madness can also raise a city's profile and attract more visitors in the long run.
Yeah, like people might see it on TV and think, oh, that looks like a cool place. I want to visit there someday.
Exactly. And that can lead to more tourism and more economic activity down the line.
So it's kind of like a win-win for the city and the NCAA.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so we've talked about ticket sales, advertising sponsorships, and the impact on host cities. But there's another big piece of the puzzle here, right? Television.
Oh, yeah. TV's huge for March Madness. Like, those games are broadcast all over the country and even internationally. And the networks that broadcast the games, CBS and TNT, they pay a lot of money for the rights to show those games.
I bet they do, because everyone's watching, right?
Exactly. And because so many people are watching, the networks can charge a lot of money for advertising during the games. And that's another major source of revenue for the NCAA.
So it's like this whole cycle. The NCAA gets money from the TV networks. The TV networks get money from advertisers, and everyone's happy.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And for you as a viewer, it's like you're part of this whole economic machine just by watching the games.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to touch on one more thing that's been in the news a lot lately. NIL deals for college athletes.
Oh, yeah. NIL, that's a big change in college sports, and it's definitely having an impact on March Madness.
Can you just explain quickly what NIL is for people who might not know?
Sure, yeah. So NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And it basically means that college athletes can now make money from endorsements and sponsorships, which they couldn't do before.
So it's like they can finally profit from their own talent and hard work.
Right, exactly. And it's a big deal because it gives them more control over their own careers and it can potentially help them financially.
And how is this affecting March Madness specifically?
Well, for one thing, it could make the tournament even more competitive because now you have players who might choose to stay in college longer because they can make money from NIL deals, whereas before they might have gone pro earlier.
So it could actually raise the level of play in the tournament.
Potentially, yeah. And
Oh.
it's also creating new opportunities for companies to market their products and services by partnering with these athletes.
So it's adding another layer to that whole economic ecosystem we were talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about all the positive economic impacts of March Madness, but are there any downsides or potential negative consequences that we should be aware of?
Well, one potential issue is economic inequality. Like, not every city benefits equally from hosting March Madness games. And even within a city, the benefits might not be evenly distributed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like some businesses might see a huge boost while others don't really see much change.
Exactly. And there's also the issue of gambling addiction, which is unfortunately a problem that's often associated with major sporting events like March Madness.
Yeah, that's a serious issue, and it's something that we shouldn't ignore.
Absolutely.
What about the environmental impact of March Madness, like all the travel and the waste generated at the venues?
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. Large-scale events like this do have a significant environmental footprint, and it's something that organizers and attendees need to be more mindful of.
So there are some challenges and potential downsides that come with all those economic benefits.
Right, it's important to acknowledge that.
Okay, so looking specifically at March Madness 2025, what are your predictions for its economic performance? Do you think it will hit that billion-dollar mark?
Well, based on the trends we've seen in recent years, I think it's very likely that March Madness 2025 will exceed $1 billion in economic activity. The tournament's popularity is still growing, advertising revenue is strong, and the media rights deals are only getting bigger.
So it sounds like it's going to be another huge year for March Madness, both on and off the court.
Absolutely.
And for you listening, what about the future of March Madness beyond 2025? What are some of the emerging trends that you think could impact the economics of the tournament?
Well, one trend that's already starting to have an impact is the rise of virtual reality and augmented reality for you. These technologies could create new ways for fans to experience March Madness, even if they can't attend the games in person, and that could open up new revenue streams.
That's interesting. Like you could be sitting at home but feel like you're actually at the game.
Exactly, and another trend to watch is the growing influence of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology for you. We're already seeing some examples of this in the sports world, like teams selling tickets using cryptocurrency, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see something similar happen with March Madness.
So it sounds like the future of March Madness is going to be even more digital and even more connected.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
All right, so to recap, we've talked about how March Madness is this massive economic engine that generates billions of dollars in revenue through ticket sales, advertising sponsorships, and media rights deals. And we've seen how the tournament benefits host cities and creates jobs. And we've also discussed some of the potential downsides like economic inequality, gambling addiction, and environmental impact. And finally, we've looked ahead to the future and considered how emerging trends like VR and cryptocurrency could shape the economics of March Madness in the years to come.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating topic, and it's something that goes way beyond just the games themselves.
Absolutely. So as you get ready for March Madness 2025 and you're filling out your brackets and watching those buzzer beaters, think about this. What does the sheer scale of this economic impact tell you about the role that sports play in our society and the priorities that drive our spending? Because it's clear that March Madness is more than just a game. It's a cultural phenomenon and a major economic force, and that's something worth thinking about.
For sure.
Thanks for listening,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.